Let's continue. Um, well, I told that the ideally when we are talking on buyers and sellers, the buyers are willing to find out the skill and performance level of the workers, and the sellers are willing to find out the working conditions, basically. Of course, for the sellers, they usually make independent research, and sometimes maybe if they have options, of course. They might also ask to I don't know, people who the company, if the company allows them to do so. But in many cases, also seller might be desperate to find any job he or she can get accepted. In that case, of course that investigation might not be possible. Um, it's not like apple and orange market in that sense. And for the sellers, sellers might mount references, might ask questions to them, the sellers. I mean, as for the buyers, in my opinion, that's my case. Um, and in many ways, they might try to find out the performance level and the characteristics of the seller, which is the worker. Uh, but all these efforts are costly, and sellers are not that much thrilled to have this cost. And one way of getting rid of this cost is, of course, making the contract the short-term contract. I mean, if there's a problem, being able to fire the workers might be a way for them to avoid these search costs, and especially when the working characteristic are also not makes the productivity differences not that much important. If, for example, available machinery means of production is more or less making the performance level of workers similar to each other, in that case, I mean that search for performance level of the worker might be not that much necessary. And in many sectors, actually this might be the case also. Um, it also helps to lower the monetary costs. I mean, you don't need to find out the performance level of the worker inside of the company. Of course, the relation between the worker and the company continues when you got into the a company. It's not like, I mean, you buy this glass, you look this glass, and you understand. I mean, okay, this is the glass I want, and take it. I mean, the glass is active when you buy it. I mean, it transforms. It is a character. So it is not like an object. The labor power of a human being is not like an object, and that makes a difference, basically. So you try to find out this future potential relation between you and the worker, since that relation will continue, and uh, how what kind of a labor power performance this relation will bring. Um, well, even though these complications are there at the very first look, early economists, they when they are looking to the labor market, I mean, the early economists are very much like abstraction. I mean, they try to do abstraction. Abstraction means trying to find general rules that are true for all markets where things are bought and sold. Just like, I mean, the law of gravity, which is true if I throw this to the ground, or if I throw, I don't know, um, this mask to the ground, for example. Um, and for example, one of the thrilling findings of Galileo was actually the fact that if you throw a bowling ball down, or a uh, paper down, actually the force that the acceleration, the gravity is uh, exerting to this body is same, independent of them, independent of the uh, weight of the subject. So finding general laws was something usually every economist was trying to do, and so when they were trying to, just like the physics has done, and to some extent chemistry has just started to do, biology not so much at that point. Basically, the initial way the labor market is described was just like other markets. Just like other markets, buyers and sellers come together, and just like in other markets, when price is high, the buyers are willing to sell more of the in this case, service labor power to the buyers. The sellers are willing to sell more labor power, and just like in the traditional labor markets, the buyers are willing to buy more labor power when the cost is lower. And what they do with the labor power, what happens after the buying and selling process is over, is not of interest for the economists. The important part is the transaction inside of the market, and basically, I mean, whatever is the thing, I mean, the market is in the end. I mean, the real thing that regulates the buying, the use of labor power in the production process, according to them. So this buying and selling process is the critical process, not what happens after that. I mean, and in theory, later it was also this idea was further developed as if the everything that happens after the buying and selling process was actually negotiated within the buying process itself. So if I already have negotiated with my with the buyer of my labor power, every single aspect of the use of my labor power, while that labor power belongs to my buyer, who become my boss, obviously. In that case, I mean everything that happens after within the production process is already negotiated in the market process. So basic demand and supply model is used to work on the basically labor in the labor market, and which basically tells the price is which is some price is the main mediator of the market. It is the thing that actually brings the market to the equilibrium, to the point where the amount of labor power people are willing to buy and sell are equal to each other, some assumptions are there are no buyers and sellers with labor power. I mean, there is no single buyer who has its labor, who single buyer who buys all the labor power from the workers, or a significantly large buyer doesn't exist. And there are no collective strategies. I mean, the sellers and buyers are not organized also. So in this case, the basic mechanism is if you have excess, the market always comes to the point when the amount of labor bought and the amount of labor sold is exactly equal, and the price at which this equilibrium is called equilibrium price, which is of course in the case of the labor market called equilibrium wage, equilibrium real wage to be exact. And if price is higher than this amount, in that case you have excess supply. This is the case when wages are higher than the equilibrium wage. According to some arguments, this is the minimum wage is actually exactly keeping the wage at a level higher than this equilibrium wage level. Although empirical data doesn't necessarily support this view, and there is also theory which is showing by basically unemployment might not be caused by the minimum wage. Actually, minimum wage might even decrease unemployment to some extent. But anyway, in the simple model, at least this might be an explanation of unemployment. When there is unemployment, when there is excess supply, in that case, some workers are willing to work for a lower wage. Some employers are willing to employ workers, more workers if the price is lower. So basically, both buyers and sellers start to lower the price, which basically decrease the supply and quantity supplied of labor supplied and increase quantity demanded. But as long as there is excess supply, the price will continue to fall, since some workers end up not being able to sell their labor power, and they will basically beat the price down. And this will continue up to the point when quantity demanded and quantity supplied of labor is equal to each other, at which point basically the price will remain stable. The opposite is true when the price is lower than the equilibrium price. In that case, basically, there is an excess demand, basically more labor is demanded than the amount of labor supplied. In that case, some buyers end up with no labor power. They will bid the price up. They will offer higher wages, and higher wages will lower the quantity demanded, increase the quantity supplied. But as long as there is an excess demand, price will start to continue to go up to the point when, again, quantity demand and quantity supplied of labor is equal, at which market reach the equilibrium and remains stable. So this is the basic model. Now, Smith did not write whether the equilibrium point is good or bad for the society. That's one thing, and it also doesn't show, whether there are some other factors that are continuously shifting demand and supply. He talks on a factor, actually, population, which we have talked in the labor participation rate part. But for the overall market process, not at least, he didn't talk on the overall processes which might shift demand and supply in a traditional market. And of course, the equilibrium point itself is discussed by different of the labor market is discussed by different schools: Marxist, neo-Keynesian, neoclassical Keynesian, different schools within the Keynesian school also. Well, when we are talking on this simplistic model, there are different problems. First problem is the one I have mentioned before. The labor is not like a glass. It doesn't exchange hands. After I make my contract with the Middle East Technical University, I did not give my labor power to them, take my wage, and go away. My relation with the Middle East Technical University and me continues, and through the production process, actually, the previous buyer of my labor power, which is Middle East Technical University, specific the Turkish government in more general sense, becomes now my boss. So the relation is continuing. So this is a complication. And this complication might have consequences, which is actually discussed in the labor economics. We will see in the coming topics. And increase in price of apple will also increase number of apples produced, but when wage increases, my labor power that is in my hand doesn't increase. I have a fixed amount of labor power, and that's the other thing. It's not people cannot increase the production of labor power when the wage increases, except maybe the population increase might be related. Even that's something that's controversial.